Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that top 50 roller coasters in the world last night. Yeah, a lot of you guys did not like that list. I definitely enjoyed watching you guys get raged up. Just kidding. But the whole Steel Vengeance thing, leave it in the past. I think Steel Vengeance one day will become my number one. I definitely believe it will. But for now, it's just not the type of thing I look for. I'm more into the intense and more crazy whack rides. But Steel Vengeance definitely will, if not my number one, be my number two without a doubt. I have faith of it. So anyway, moving past that, today we're going to be talking about my top 10 elements on Copperhead Strike. Now, I rode Copperhead Strike about a month ago, and it was just so awesome. This coaster was so much fun. My first Mac multi-launch definitely exceeded my expectations, and I rode it on opening day, so of course it was going to be awesome. But I really did notice that a lot of these elements were way better than I thought they were, so I decided to make a video out of this because I just couldn't decide what my favorite parts of the ride were, so let's get right on into this. Coming in at the number 10 spot is going to be the first launch. Now, this is the only launch you're going to see on this list, and that just shows how weak these Mac multi-launches are. Well, in launch terms, you know what I mean. I was definitely told that the Mac multi-launches are not that great. They are weak. They're just to get the ride going, and that's true. I mean, it was a fair launch. It was better than people had put them out to be. Like, it wasn't horrible. It was not awful, but it still was not that great at all. I'd probably say it's my least favorite launch I've ever done. The one on Lightning Rod, even though that is LSM, and even though it is slower than this by like 5 miles per hour, I still like that one more because it was going uphill, so you definitely felt some G's there, but with this one, it was just okay. And the second launch, it didn't even feel like you were going as fast as the first one, even though you were going 50, so you were going like 10 miles per hour faster than the first one. It really didn't feel like it. It just felt like you were moving. Like, it was so weird. I mean, going over an Airtime Hill launch, it felt kind of cool, but it was a little disappointing. So anyway, the first launch was my number 10 element on that ride. Number 9 is going to be the final Airtime Pop. Now, the final Airtime Pop is this little jolt at the end before you hit the brakes. I was really not expecting anything from this going in. I was like, maybe I might budge or something. No, I got flung. I was like, what was that? That felt like a Twisted Timbers type bunny hill. It was so weird, but it was so awesome at the same time. When I rode this in the front row at night, when it was all warmed up and ready to go, this final airtime hop just jolted me so hard out of my seat. It was one of the strongest moments of airtime I've ever experienced on any steel coaster. So good. It was amazing. I loved it. Number 8 is going to be the pre-second launch pop. Now, this was really cool. I didn't expect much from this at all. It's like when you go through that helix part after the corkscrew, but then you just pump up. It's really weird how it does it, but you just jolt out of your seat so hard. It was so cool. I was really not expecting that at all. I just loved it so much. Number 7 is going to be that speed bank right after the inverted top hat. Yeah, wow, that was sick. You definitely feel some laterals there. You get pressed to the side a lot. It's going really fast. I don't know how fast you're actually going through it, but it feels like a really sharp bank, something off of Intimidator 305, but really tame. Still really fun. Like, it's really, really cool, but it was definitely nothing like that made me want to scream or anything, but I was shocked by how much fun that actually was because you bank so hard to the left, so I actually enjoyed it. Number 6 is going to be the first loop. Now, the first loop gave some really good hang time. The second loop, not so much. I mean, this second loop is not on this list, even though it was still really fun. It just didn't do much for me because you were going so fast through it. But the first one, you get some great hang time. That was awesome. See, like, the second launch and the second loop don't really make this list, but the first launch and the first loop make this list, if that makes sense. So definitely expect more from that opening sequence than the second one. But that loop was really cool. The hang time was nice. I liked going upwards through it, so definitely a really good element. Great inversion. I loved it. Into the top 5. Number 5 is one of the most unexpected airtime moments I've ever experienced. It is that first airtime hill. The one right after the first loop. Holy crap, the ejector was insane. In the morning, it was borderline flowjector, so I was like, whoa, that was really good. But then at night, when I rode in the front row, I got freaking bounced out of my seat like Twisted Timber style. That airtime was insane. The ejector was fantastic. I really, really loved that element. I really wish I could put this higher, but there were just some more moments that I would take over that. Although this was still just such a great part of the ride. It was awesome. Number 4 is going to be that iconic top hat stall. You are up there for a good bit in hang time terms, and you're just hanging down looking over at everyone. I actually was worried going in that it was not going to go as slow as it did in the animation, that you were going to go through that inverted top hat really quickly. But no, you actually hang there for a good bit. It was only like a second or two, but you definitely were there enough to be feeling like you're hanging out. So it was really cool. You're looking down at everyone. It's just so awesome. One of my favorite elements. Number 3 is going to be that legendary Jojo Roll. This is one of my favorite elements of all time in inversion terms. It is so sweet. This is the greatest hang time I've ever experienced. So I know that Hydra over at Dorney Park is about the same as this. However, that thing has over-the-shoulder restraints. This has lab bars, so I imagine this one will still be better, at least by a little bit, just because of the lab bars. You're hanging out for so long. You hear that audio in the background saying "Can't Run from Granny." It's so creepy, but it's awesome. And this element is just so much fun. I could not wait for this element every time I rode that ride. I rode 4 times, and as the day went on, this element, I just kept loving it more and more and more. And especially when you do it at night when it's dark and you hang up like that, yeah, it's a really neat experience. You definitely should look forward to this element. It is definitely worth the hype that it gets. It was so awesome. Number 2 is going to be that Stangl Dive after the second loop. Now, this impressed me. I was not really expecting this to be that good, but it most definitely was. So you start out by going upwards after that second loop, and I was like, going in, I was kind of like, yeah, this is probably going to be really cool. I haven't really experienced too many of these type of elements. The only other Stangl Dive that's notable I can remember was Sky Rush, and that one was just top notch. Yeah, this Stangl Dive doesn't come close to Sky Rush's, but it was still really good. Anyway, you get pulled over that top, get some crazy ejector, and then just whip downward. Such a great element, so much fun. Overall, this Stangl Dive element was just so cool. I loved it so much. Definitely in my top 15 elements to date. So what is number 1? Well, if you know me well, you know what I'm into. I'm into those sharp transitions. I love sharp back-to-back bank turns, and you know which coaster I'm referring to. And surprisingly enough, going in, I wasn't expecting this, but it actually gave a teaser of one of these type of elements I like. And this was the I-305 type transition right after that Stangl Dive. It was really whippy and jolty. I loved it. I did not expect that. The first time I rode it, I was like, holy crap, what was that? Such a cool element. It definitely blew me away. I was not expecting that out of a Mac multi-launch. And I heard DC Rivals pull stuff like that throughout the whole ride, just even better. So I'm really looking forward to that. Overall, this part was so cool. The whip and transition-y type factor that it does through it is so cool. Definitely the best part of the ride in my opinion. The Jojo Roll and the Stangl Dive are awesome as well, but they just don't compare to how cool this part was. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Post your comments down in the section below. If you've ridden Copperhead Strike, what was your favorite part of the ride? These are just my opinions. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, coaster fans, I will see you later.